Welcome Rotarians and guests to the Rotary Club of Seattle, the fourth oldest and one of the world's largest Rotary clubs, where we embrace service above self and are connecting for good. Today we'll continue to observe April as Membership Month at Seattle Rotary, and we'll be welcoming two of our very newest Rotarians today. We'll be acknowledging member generosity to our foundation campaigns, and we're going to be recognizing our fellow Rotarians who are celebrating their membership anniversary in the month of April. And we're going to explore the topic of aging, something that impacts all of us, and according to our speaker, is life's most dangerous game. But to inspire us as we tackle all of these topics today is our past president, Sten Chrissy. And after Sten's remarks, please remain standing so Linda Ruff can lead us in song, and the chair of our club's music committee, Marley Iverson, will be accompanying her. Sten.
Thank you, Kathy. I'd like to preface my prayer here with a poem by Henry Longworth Longfellow, who wrote, "Age is opportunity no less than youth itself, though in another dress. And as the evening twilight fades away, the sky is filled with stars, invisible by day." Please pray with me. Lord, too often youthful urgencies hurry us through life, causing us to overlook the beauty found in older adults, like the stars invisible by day. Our fast pace keeps us from engaging meaningfully with the oldest members of our families and our communities. Help us to slow down, to adopt their pace, to speak their language, to look into their eyes with the same love and respect that they hold for us. And let us be grateful for these fading opportunities. Lord, keep us mindful that time may wrinkle the skin, but it is indulgences such as hate and the loss of ideals that wrinkle the soul. True respect and love of the older adults in our lives is an ideal we must nurture, grow, and sustain. May we use this day to find new and meaningful ways to connect with older adults and celebrate them for all they have to offer. And as we face the challenges of growing older and bolder, let us seek refuge in your love to see us through. Amen.
So now I'm delighted to start our main program on aging. And to do that is our Vice President of Programs, Lisa Mayfield. Lisa and her firm, Aging Wisdom, help families navigate their options for aging well. Lisa, I want to thank you for your help in planning today's program and for your help with the 47 other programs we've enjoyed and will be enjoying this year. Lisa Mayfield.
Well, you can't have a program chair who works with older adults and not have a day to celebrate aging. And with these continued dreary days, I think we all need something to celebrate. So I want to start by welcoming all our special guests who are here today to help us celebrate. Can you all please stand for me? Stand, please. Cool. These are our colleagues who work in the aging industry, and they're here to help us support our speakers today. So our first speaker is Steve Lee, and he is here to tell us what Seattle is doing to make aging a priority in our city. Steve serves as Mayor Murray's senior policy advisor. And prior to moving to Seattle to join the mayor's team, Steve was working as a collaborative engagement consultant in DC. He has held policy positions at the White House, National Association of Counties, Oregon Legislature, and AARP. Steve has many areas he oversees in our city, but one is the Age-Friendly Seattle Initiative, which the mayor just launched on March 22nd. I wanted you all to hear about the cool things happening in our area related to aging. I'm very proud to live in a city that is forward-thinking enough to be making Seattle a great place to live. Please help me welcome Steve Lee.
Thank you, Lisa. Good afternoon, and thanks for having me back again. I'm here to talk a little bit about the Age-Friendly Seattle initiative that was launched recently, as Lisa said, by Mayor Murray. And here's why. According to Pew Research, by 2050, 1 in 5 Americans will be over 65. They also report that for the next 12 years, every day, 10,000 baby boomers will turn 65. So by my math, someone in here has a 65th birthday. Raise your hand. Also by 2050, the United Nations says 70% around the world will live in cities. King County affirms that because they also say that more people are moving into cities and the larger proportion of our residents are in cities. As an urban planner, I love the work that I do with cities. They're great places to live. But cities can also be very hostile, especially to people who are older. Cities like Seattle do grow, but they often don't grow up. And they don't grow up fast enough to account for all of the physical and social changes that older people experience. I think it's time for Seattle to grow up a bit. So Mayor Murray, when he came to office, came in with a vision of Seattle as being an equitable, safe, vibrant, innovative, interconnected city for people of all ages to learn, work, play, and live. Cities, and I read this quote, have the capability of providing something for everybody only because and only when they are created by everybody. That's a quote from Jane Jacobs, that urban activist those many years ago. And so last year, that was what was the impetus for Seattle, stating its commitment to become an age-friendly city, to look at our policies from the perspective of older residents. AARP and the World Health Organization have a designation, and they designated Seattle as an age-friendly community. We joined 380 other communities worldwide. 162 of those are here in the U.S., and we are the second in Washington State. We have been led by Puyallup, which was the first age-friendly city in the state of Washington. Last month, the city and the mayor adopted a joint resolution expressing and kind of articulating our commitment to becoming an age-friendlier city. So what does that mean? We've got a 4-phase work plan. The first one is to engage as many older citizens and stakeholders in this process of age-friendly Seattle as possible. So we've gotten a couple of things underway. We have an age-friendly task force, which is a multi-stakeholder group that get together and kind of are helping us develop initiatives. Throughout the community, the task force members and our city folks are out listening to seniors about age-friendliness in our community. We're working closely with AARP to develop a community survey of livability to get some more data and information from our community about what happens here in the city. We are planning a series of equity forums to look at the most vulnerable people in our community and their needs. And finally, we're convening work groups within the city to get the departments to think about some early actions to get started in this work and plan some future initiatives. Let me give you an example of a couple of things that we're already doing. So the first one is sidewalks. So the Department of Transportation is about to do a sidewalk assessment, but wants to do a survey to understand what online maps and resources do people need to have to navigate our sidewalk system. So it's online, and they were great enough to put the URL on a piece of paper on your table. So if you would like to participate, regardless of your age or ability, please do sign up. We've got a couple of weeks to participate in the survey. We appreciate your participation. So we take this engagement and we're rolling that up into an assessment. And the assessment does a couple of things. It looks at the physical the natural and built environment, but it also looks at the social and interpersonal relationships that kind of support people in the community. The department then is taking that kind of engagement opportunity to develop an assessment of sidewalks. They're going to go around the entire city and look at the condition of our sidewalks. They've developed a methodology with seniors, and that is validated by seniors and will involve seniors in the assessment of the sidewalks. The final piece is they're going to be doing some walkability audits, so walking with seniors around neighborhoods to look at intersections and trying to travel generally through the system to look at safety, interfaces between people and cars, and generally give the Department of Transportation some sense of what they can do to make this an age-friendlier pedestrian environment. The other thing we're working on, this is another example, is housing. Right now, the property tax exemption programs can save seniors that are income qualified $3,000 to $9,000 a year. We think there are more people that are qualified for that, and as a strategy to help people stay in their homes, we want to be able to build utilization of that program. The final example that I'll give you is Engage Seattle. The Department of Neighborhoods is going to use an age-friendly lens to look at ways to to foster more community engagement, look at leadership in a community, and then also kind of build out processes and opportunities for people to be engaged and be involved. Why is that important? I read that a group of psychologists from Brigham Young University did a study, and what they've identified and concluded about kind of social isolation. They've said that lacking social connections is the equivalent of 15 cigarettes per day. 15 cigarettes a day. Right? So connecting with people is critical to healthy aging in a city. Robert Putnam says that, this is what I love, being here especially, he says that if you join and participate in one group, you will cut your odds of dying over the next year in half. In half. If you join two groups, by 3/4. So I think to myself, should I smoke or should I join a club? Right? So I opt for not smoking and join Rotary, right? But then better still, why don't I quit smoking, join Rotary and ARP? Right? Anyway, thank you so much for having me in. I look forward to all of you participating in Age-Friendly Seattle.
Thank you, Steve, and I'll look forward to following up with your application later today. So for over a year, I have been pestering my colleague, Kaven Peterson, sitting over there, to help me get our next speaker here from New York. This was the tipping point. A while back, our members were surveyed about their priorities for our foundation dollars. Aging was one of our choices, and it rated last. As in, aging was not seen as a critical issue for our funding. And you aren't alone. Many local organizations, including United Way, have slashed funding for older adults. It was this that inspired Bill to come. He welcomed the opportunity to change your mind about aging. Dr. Bill Thomas is an author, entrepreneur, teacher, and physician. He is part of a nearly extinct group of doctors called geriatricians who specialize in working with older adults. He is also a prominent leader in the aging field. The Wall Street Journal has highlighted him as a top innovator who is changing the future of retirement in America. U.S. News and World Report named him one of America's best leaders, saying, "This creative and wildly exuberant country doctor has become something of a culture changer, reimagining how Americans will approach aging in the 21st century." Bill, a huge thank you for your generosity of time. And mark your calendars because you will be back to Seattle at Town Hall on May 3rd, and it will be an event you won't want to miss. So please help me give a big Rotary welcome to Dr. Bill Thomas.
Thank you very much. Well, I couldn't be happier than to be in a room full of aging people. It's just the sweetest thing ever. And I just have a few minutes with you, and I wanted to make sure that when you go out those doors, you are going to understand 3 things about aging that you didn't understand when you walked in. So, this is my Rotary house call for Seattle 4. First thing that Americans often don't understand about aging is, what are old people for? There seem to be a lot of them, and I'm not sure where they're coming from. But what are they for? And in fact, humanity is the only species on Earth that ages in this peculiar fashion. Human beings have 98% of the same DNA as our closest relative, that's the chimpanzee. But that 2% that's different, that's how we grow old. We have double the lifespan of a chimpanzee. And all of the extra life comes after reproductive maturity. Now, what does that tell you as a scientist or an evolutionary biologist? What it tells you is aging is pretty important. We humans have discovered the virtues hidden inside the necessity of aging. And I'll give you a really clear, crystal clear example. You can argue on a scientific basis that mammals, in many ways, invented parenting. So there's been mammals parenting their young for about 400 million years in the world. The invention of grandparenting, that's a human thing. There's no other species that displays grandparenting behavior on a universal basis. When you go see that little baby, that new baby in the nursery at the hospital, you might see a 7-pound infant. I see a grandmother in the making. Second thing we get not quite right about aging is that in our culture, we believe that, well, we have a story we tell ourselves about how we're supposed to live. And everybody here knows the story at a pretty deep level. It starts off like this. You're born, and oh my goodness, what cute cheeks you have. And pretty soon you're off to kindergarten, and teachers and coaches are telling you, and your parents are telling you, my goodness, you can do anything, you can go anywhere, anything is possible. And up you go, and people tell you, don't even think the sky is the limit. The sky is not the limit. Beautiful. And then you turn 28. And after that, now, that's the story our culture tells us. And it is the most ridiculous mythology you can imagine. It's really not supported on any level. Research tells us that human beings grow and change and adapt their entire life. There's no age and no condition in which we cannot experience growth as a human being. It's not over the hill at 28. In fact, I mentioned the number 28. Research tells us that the process that we call aging really does begin when you turn 28. So do the math in your own head, and you can calculate how long you've been aging. Congratulations. It turns out we humans need aging. We need it we need this time to find our true self, our true mission, to connect with this deep concept, for example, of service above self and connecting for good. Those things take time to ripen inside of us. And thank goodness we grow old. It's the most beautiful thing about us. Third thing people don't realize or don't recognize about aging, there's a common idea that aging is what happens to you, as if you're a 1987 Chevy Nova. You know, and you got miles on the odometer, and you know, the windows don't go up and down anymore. But that's not actually how humans age. We don't fall apart while we age. We experience a symphony of change, and I can show you what I mean and prove it. Human beings, if you measure the heart capacity, lung capacity, kidney capacity, liver capacity, nerve tests. I'm skipping over the details, but let me just say you do a complete battery. What you find is that all of the changes after you turn 28 are about 1% a year. Your heart and your liver and your kidneys, your bones, your muscles, they all change at the same rate. Now, how is that? How could that possibly be if aging was something that happened to us? Listen. You were born to grow old. It's your destiny. And that is a thing of beauty. Aging is a beautiful thing. Anytime we have the blessing and the opportunity to move past the terrible frenzy of adult life, where every minute is accounted with things we have to do, every time we get a chance to spread our wings a little bit and live, even in the smallest ways, live our lives around what we want to do, we come closer to becoming the person we are meant to be. Aging is a great blessing to us all. Now, I have a homework assignment for Seattle 4. The homework assignment actually can be completed tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, everybody in this room is going to wake up, and at some point, you're going to come face to face with the bathroom mirror. I'm predicting it now. It's going to happen. Tomorrow morning, when you come face to face with the bathroom mirror, I want you to really look at your face. Look at the lines and the creases. Study it and accept it. This is your face today. That's your body today. And it's actually exactly the right face for you at this age. Now, we Americans in particular have been taught that aging creates a broken down version of a formerly perfect self. And I'm here to tell you that's actually not the case. These young people with their flat, featureless skin I'm just saying they'll outgrow it. It takes time to have a face with the kind of character your face has. Love it. Own it. Be it. Our society is living in a time and a place where we are increasingly governed by adults without elder supervision. And this is actually a little bit crazy in human experience. In most societies, in most parts of the world, in most of history, adults have pretty much always run the show one way or the other, but they had elders standing behind them. They had elders that would lay a hand on their shoulder and go, whoa, hold on a minute. Let's think about this. And in the United States of America, I have cause for tremendous optimism. And my optimism is based on the fact that we are growing up the largest, best educated, healthiest group of elders the world has ever known. And you are in that group. You are a world historical miracle. For the first time in human history, we're going to live in a society where 1 in 5 people have more than 65 years of lived experience. And that can take us to some really, really beautiful places. Last thought, and then we'll do some Q&A. I'm a geriatrician. So, as was mentioned, I'm sort of the opposite of a pediatrician. I'm also extremely rare, and if you want to take a picture, it's okay. Because you will probably not be seeing a geriatrician anytime soon. There's only 5,000 of us in America, 300 million people. Huge age boom underway, only 5,000 geriatricians. However, just want to say, as a geriatrician, I am perfectly well aware of disease and disability and dementia. I know a lot about those things. And if I have one last message to give you, maybe to take with you when you're doing your homework assignment tomorrow morning, one last message is that aging is not decline. Aging is the name we give to growth when we are no longer young. So, we have time for a few questions, and I'll do my best to answer anything you want to ask me. Actually, I'm really comfortable with anybody asking the hardest question you can think of. I'm very willing to do my best. Yes? Okay, we're going to have a question, and then I'll try to answer.
Faith Ireland.
Thank you so much. I live in constant fear of Alzheimer's because my father had it, his mother had it, his sister had it. Any advice?
Yes. Based on what your apparent age, I'm judging as a geriatrician, you're out of the scope of familial early onset Alzheimer's. If that gene was there, it would already have expressed itself. Yes. Yeah. So we can say, if you came to see me and we sat down and you drew the map, we can say that this person has no more or no less of a risk than any other person of developing dementia. The other thing I'll say about this is that if you want to do something that lowers your risk of dementia, walk. Move your body. That seems to really have an impact.
Bill, we have a question over here.
Yes.
Dr. Thomas, I first heard about you from Atul Gawande's book, Being Mortal, and was really inspired by your story about Eden Hill.
Yeah.
It seems, I'm 62, and I have to say, I think the 60s are the best years of my life so far. I think, though, that there are 3 fears that people my age face. One is fear of poor health and losing your faculties. 2, fear of outliving your money.
Yeah.
And 3, fear of death, which is, I think, a spiritual
Yeah.
problem at the end of the day. And you have this message of optimism, but what do you do about those 3 fears?
Beautiful. That was really powerful and useful statement. And by the way, the good news about the 60s is that statistically speaking, the 70s are happier than the 60s. So you're on a great run there, man. So let me say that there's 3 things mentioned. the development of poor health. There isn't much we can do about lifespan, but you can increase your health span by being physically active, eating a good diet, getting plenty of sleep, and thinking about well-being. That will not protect you from anything that might be coming your way or my way, but it can help you enjoy the maximum health span possible. Number two, about money. I will say straight out, I think it's very important that our society keep its promises to older people in terms of financial security. I will say that Social Security is the best kept promise America ever made, and it needs to be protected. And then the third thing about the fear of death. One of the things that lies ahead for you and for me is a gradual loss of the illusion of immortality. So for you and me both, we're going to arrive at a day when we realize, yeah, actually, I'm not living forever. And there's a lot of research that shows when people lose the illusion of immortality, the fear of death goes way down. So when I hear you talking to me, you are, and I am, we're living with an illusion of immortality. That's temporary. It will go away. And and then you'll be like, okay, better make the most of it. We had a question up here.
Lauren Domino.
Hi, so I'm a new mom. I feel like my aging has accelerated drastically in the last 5 months.
Yeah.
Since my baby has arrived. But I was wondering if you could speak to the importance of intergenerational relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like we might have an opportunity as a society to address some of the challenges we're experiencing on both ends. You know, as a new mom, I was on these crazy wait lists for daycares. Finding great resources for my child and our children is important. And it seems like there are all these great older Americans who might be available to contribute in that way as well.
Beautiful. So all human culture is derived from an ancient engine. The culture we inhabit today is the product of an ancient engine of intergenerational reciprocity. Man, is that a mouthful. So human beings thousands of years ago started spinning this intergenerational transmission of culture and learning and story. And that has turned consistently for thousands of years. And really now, again, I've talked about aging is succeeding like never before. However, intergenerational reciprocity is under severe strain. So in order to make sure that aging turns out to achieve its highest potential, we must reconnect the generations so that they are relying upon each other and coming to know each other. And the comment was made about funding aging-related work. If I may make a suggestion to the committee, really try to find a way that the projects you're funding all integrate intergenerational reciprocity. Every time you're in a meeting, every time you're looking at a proposal, say, well, how does this bring people of different generations together? We want to see that part because we think it's important. And that's how you start to rebuild those bonds.
Thank you so much. As a proud, almost 69-year-old. Every week or two, I get a visit from someone who has been laid off, and they want to come talk to me because they know I have lots of connections, and they want me to help them find their next adventure, gig, etc., paying gig. And many of them are in that 55 to 65-year-old age. Mm-hmm. And they are not getting interviewed, and they are not getting offers, and they are really depressed. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give me to give them?
Okay. So, human beings come of age, healthy human beings come of age twice. There's a coming of age that happens when we leave childhood and we enter adulthood. And it's known to be quite difficult, and we give it the name adolescence. And our culture does all kinds of things to prepare people for it and get them through it alive. So they pop out the other end, and they're living in the adult phase. There's a second coming of age where humans leave adulthood and enter elderhood. Our culture provides no signs, no signposts, no rituals, no ceremonies, no transitions. And therefore, some people arrive at that like they've been thrown out of a car. And they're like, wait a minute, what? And the main thing they want to do is go back to the way it was before. And that's not possible. So I like to, in my conversations with people who are having these kinds of issues, say, it's time to grow up. It's time to grow up again and figure out a new way of living that isn't built on the same foundation as your adult life. To change and grow. And will it be different? Yes. And the evidence suggests it will be a lot happier too. But you're in a position where you're standing in for the culture that should be doing this for everybody, but instead, people are winding up in your office not prepared for the transition.
Question from Dave Levine.
Hi there. I'm a financial planner with a lot of retired clients who want to do some traveling. And I was in Vancouver last fall with my then 2-year-old. And she was in a stroller, and I noticed it was really hard to find elevators and ramps compared to here. And made me think that that's going to be equally difficult for an older person to travel as well. Are there cities or countries that you know of that are more or less friendly for aging people to travel to?
I don't have a specific thought, because I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the travel part, so don't have much to say. Although, can I say something about Seattle? I think what you're going to see in Seattle is going to be more and more one of those cities in the next 5 to 10 years, because that's going to be important to attracting people and being age-friendly. As you pointed out with your daughter, being age-friendly means actually being friendly to people of all ages. And there are real strong advantages to that.
Okay, Dr. Thomas, this is our last question. Jim Duncan.
Last question. Jim.
So this is about DNA testing. We had a speaker that really talked about how powerful that can be at predicting health problems. From your experience, is getting DNA testing, is that going to help us be healthier longer?
So question about DNA testing, and my view on it is that it's a consultative process between an individual and a well-informed healthcare provider, because I can't give one answer to this room. It depends on family history. It depends on whether the things you're at risk for have any available treatments. I think it's a complicated thing, and it's funny because people will go and get DNA testing, but for some reason they will not start walking 2 miles every morning. And I would, if you gave me the choice, the group that's going to come out ahead of the ones that walk every morning, ahead of the people who get the DNA tested. That's true. Now, I have one last comment to make, and I'll finish. So you heard it mentioned earlier that I'm going to be at Town Hall on May 3rd. So it was fun being with you here today, but you really today just kind of saw me unplugged without my band. That's actually true. So I travel the country in a rock and roll tour bus in partnership with my friends from AARP, and we go all over America putting on a pro-aging festival. And we're going to be at Town Hall, and in the afternoon, 2:30, we do a performance that explores the power of resilience and music and memory. And in the evening, I do a show called Life's Most Dangerous Game. And do I have a band? Yes. And do I have PowerPoint? No. Do I have costumes and sets and lights? I sure do. And I will tell you something, I'd love to see you there if you want to take the next journey toward Eldertopia.
Well, we heard it from Steve Lee. I took notes, and that is that connections are good for us. They enrich and they extend our life. So my call to action today is let's double down on our motto, service above self, connecting for good. Let's make an effort to connect member to member and bring others into Rotary so they can get the life-extending benefits of connection. We're adjourned.